Are you familiar with the term environmental racism? I'll start with Chase Bank.
Vaguely,
Are you
yes.
familiar with environmental racism?
I said vaguely, yes.
Vaguely. Okay. How about you, Citigroup? Ms. Fraser?
The same, only vaguely. I don't know the specific definition of it.
That's fine. And how about you, Mr. Gorman?
No, I'm not.
Morgan Stanley isn't familiar. Okay. How about Bank of America? Are you all familiar with the term environmental racism?
Vaguely familiar, but seems.
Yep. Wells Fargo. Do you know what environmental racism is? Yes or no?
Congresswoman.
That's unfortunate. How about you, Mr. Solomon, Goldman Sachs?
Vaguely familiar, but not specifically.
Well, I want you all to know environmental racism showed its face in a deadly way during the pandemic in my district, where more of my Black neighbors died at a higher rate from COVID than any other community in Michigan, even though our Black population in Michigan is less than 15%. The pre-existing health conditions that come from living in the backyard of corporate polluters financed by your banks. When it comes to racial justice, I see many of you having these commitments to just diversify your executive ranks. Good. But I think the American people really truly want to know, what about the actions that are needed to invest in our communities like mine that you all profited off of, that left us with more pollution, decay, and poverty? You all should know and be familiar with the term environmental racism, because for generations, Black, Brown, and Indigenous communities have seen the fossil fuel corporations use your banks to finance and construct oil and gas refineries, petrochemical plants, and pipeline projects. These polluting projects haven't been built in wealthy neighborhoods, as you all know. They have been built on land in frontline communities of color, contaminated our air, polluting our water for generations to come. Mr. Is it Maiha? Am I saying it right? From Bank of America, Brian, do you live near a refinery?
I do not.
How about you, Mr. Sharp? How about you? Do you have Marathon Oil Refinery in your backyard?
No, I don't.
How about you, Mr. Solomon?
No, I don't.
So I need you all of you, to address racial equity. What that means is understanding environmental racism and reversing decades of it, and halting the damage that you all continue to invest in. Please, I dare you all to come to my district. I offer this even to my members of Congress. Come and smell what my neighbors smell. Breathe what they breathe. Tell me then whether or not you will continue financing for oil refineries, because right now it is morally unacceptable. If you truly believe in racial justice, then you would make sure that you and your team understand environmental racism in our country that has been a term used by Black and Brown communities since the 70s and 80s. So with that, I just ask again, Chairwoman Waters, let's please follow up and make sure these folks have the information they need to understand this term that is critically important to communities they are directly impacting in a negative way. And with that, I yield back.
Thank you very much, Ms. Tlaib.